Hello and welcome to an all-new adult erotica in comics. You're watching SVon82, the newly monetized YouTube channel. I'm Scotty. You can call me whatever you like. Just be sure to hit that like button on the way in, and I would be eternally grateful. Now, I want to take a quick second to thank you guys. Thank you to all the viewers who have been watching my videos, to any of you that have been checking out the content. You made it possible for me to be a monetized channel, and I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart sincerely. I promise to provide you with many more videos to come, so I hope that you'll stick around with me. Let's talk about some adult erotica in comics. Now, this week's video is going to be a particularly fun one for me because I have had the pleasure of meeting the man behind today's video, Mr. Howard Chaykin. We're going to be talking about his erotic series titled Black Kiss, so I hope that you'll stick around. Now, as always, we're going to jump into the series, but first I want to talk a little bit about Mr. Chaykin, Mr. Howard Chaykin, a legend in comic books. Howard Victor Chaykin is a comic book artist and writer, and his first work in comics was under the guidance of mentor Gil Kane in the early 70s. He was putting out his art in comics as well as fanzines, sometimes working under the pseudonym Eric Pave. Now, after leaving work with Mr. Kane, he would go on to become an assistant for Wally Wood and would work in the same studios that he shared with Sid Shores and Jack Abel in Valley Stream, Long Island. He worked there for a brief period of time, but then in 1971, he published his first professional work for the adult-themed Western feature Shattuck, and that would be in a military newspaper titled Overseas Weekly, which Overseas Weekly was one of Wally Wood's clients. In October of 1972, he penciled a Man-Thing story that he did for Marvel Comics for Fear Issue 10, as well as a piece that he did for National Lampoon magazine titled Michael Rockefeller and the Jungles of New Guinea. He then apprenticed for Neil Adams, often working with him at his home in the Bronx. This helped put him onto DC Comics. Neil introduced him to Murray Boltinoff and Julia Schwartz, where he was given a little bit of work. Basically some one-page fillers and various projects. By the time Howard Chaykin had officially made it as an artist and a writer, he realized that he had very little interest in doing superhero-type stories. He actually had very little interest in doing horror stories as well. So what was he going to do? He just wanted to draw guys with big guns and women with large breasts, and that was his interest in comics at the time. Howard Chaykin's career very much continued and still continues to this very day, where he still works in comics presently, still makes his rounds at Comic Cons everywhere in the United States. He is a living legend. He's worked with Jim Starlin, he's worked with Walt Simonson, he's worked among Neil Adams, worked with Wally Wood, he's worked with Roy Thomas. So many legends that the man has worked with in his over 50 years of doing comic books. Now, he has worked for all the major comic book imprints out there. He's probably done every type of story that you can think of. But what I think he's probably best known for is the stuff that he prefers to create himself. The adult-themed titles, such as American Flag, such as the title that we're going to be talking about today, Black Kiss. Now, if you aren't familiar with Howard Chaykin, or if you're not familiar with Black Kiss in particular, just stick around. We're going to be talking all about it in this video. Let's dive into Black Kiss. Black Kiss is an American erotic comic book limited series, both written and drawn by Howard Chaykin. It takes place in Los Angeles in the 1980s. Originally published in 1988 by Canadian imprint Vortex Comics, particularly for his indie series American Flag, as well as violent reboots at DC Comics for Black Hawk and The Shadow. He had been working on Black Kiss for years under the working title Smoke Dreams, and had continued to expand his script fully by the time he left DC Comics in 1987. It was to be an erotic horror, and because of this, it scared several publishers, not wanting to have a hand in it. He knew that Bill Marks over at the Canadian imprint Vortex Comics was the right place to publish his book, because when Bill Marks checked out the inner contents of this title, he didn't balk at the contents. It didn't scare him one bit. So he knew that this was the right place that he wanted to go with the title. According to Howard Chaykin himself, Black Kiss is about blackmail. It's about pornography. It's about making fun of people and public humiliation. people caught up in situations they can't do anything about, and the importance of wearing the right outfit to the right occasion. He also added that there were some elements of comedy. Now, like many of the other books that I've covered on this adult erotica in comics series, this one itself had its share of controversy, such as the inclusion of one of your main characters in the story being a transsexual femme fatale by the name of Dagmar Lane. Accompanied by her lover, former 50s film star Beverly Grove, they are searching for a reel of film taken from the Vatican's collection of pornography. Chaykin, like the bad boy that he was known to be at the time, said that he hoped that it offended everyone that read it. The series was split into 10-page chapters, being published in a 16-page monthly comic, priced at $1.25 per issue, which was about going rate for a comic book at the time. It was in black and white, which Chaykin felt necessary to be able to make the book work. He was writing and doing all the artwork. It would be released in a poly bag with a black card sleeve covering the front cover, much like the pornographic magazines of the time. This was done, of course, for the retailers who had concerns over selling what could be deemed as pornographic material. Now keep in mind, much like some of the other books I've done in previous videos, some of these shop owners were facing prosecution for just selling these comic books. Now, due to the sexual content in Black Kiss, Vortex's regular printer refused to continue to print the issues after issue 4. So from issue 5 on, they had to go with somebody else. Now the book met with initial success, and Howard Chaykin was very happy with this. Now when addressed about the book's sexual nature, Chaykin said, quote, "If you can find something in my book to jerk off to, you should be ashamed." Vortex reported that it sold over 50,000 copies per issue, making it the third best-selling independent title at the time among the likes of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at Mirage Studios and Dark Horse Comics' Aliens. Following the conclusion of the series in 1989, Vortex repackaged it as a 3-part miniseries called Big Black Kiss, reprinting 4 chapters at a time in a 48-page format for $3.25. Now, it wouldn't be a proper adult erotica in comics video if we didn't have some arrests made over this erotic comic book, right? And there were. In New Zealand, we had a little problem with customs where officers in 1989 seized imported copies of Big Black Kiss on grounds of indecency. At the time, the law in New Zealand regarded all comics as children's literature and made no account of material intended for adult readers. There was also a raid in London, England, where several titles were seized, including this one under the Obscene Publications Act of 1964. British police said Black Kiss was not acceptable in any format. The series has also been collected in trade paperback form a couple of times, including Thick Black Kiss from Vortex in 1993. It was also collected by Dynamite Comics, making it one of Chaykin's most profitable works. Chaykin hoped to get Black Kiss made into a film parallel to the comics publications. It was going to be R-rated, however the project would never come to fruition. Chaykin also produced a sequel, Black Kiss 2, on Image Comics in 2012. Now what do you guys think about Howard Chaykin? And what do you think about this series Black Kiss? Let me know in the comments below. I sure have enjoyed making this video for you guys. I learned a lot during the process of making this video. Howard Chaykin's a very interesting man. This was an interesting video to put together, to say the least, and I was glad to do it for you guys. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. Please make sure you're subscribed. New videos every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.